Here are some upcoming projects that I think have some great potential. Some of them are about to pop off, some of them are under the radar, and some of them just might surprise you. Anyway, let's kick off and get straight into it. Now look, first up is Mrdrvrs. Now this is super interesting, super cool. Let me break it down for you. Basically, it's a murder mystery game on chain. So the best way to kind of think about it is imagine something like Cluedo, but with NFTs. Now, when you actually check out the light paper, it breaks it down, and I'll kind of give you the highlights of it. Essentially, there are a whole bunch of NFTs minted. Then what happens is here is a look at some of the NFTs, and they've actually updated the art. This is some of the old art. What they're going to do is they're going to periodically open up the guessing, and then people can guess who the murderer is. Now you can see here the prize pool in total will be 25% of the mint funds, and essentially they will open up the guessing periodically. Then people will be able to burn their NFT and then make a guess. If they make the guess, they then win some of these funds, and there are some guesses. So if the murderer can actually survive, they actually can win 50%, and if you actually guess who the murderer is and you hold the murderer, you're going to end up with 100% of the prize. It's just very interesting, very cool. It's going to happen over a 4 to 6 week period on Twitter. And the idea is it's going to be fun, interesting, low cost, low barrier to entry. I think it's very fun, and it's the kind of thing that could get people caught up, play along. And the idea is the fact that it is somewhat deflationary, so you can end up in a position where even if you don't have the murderer, even if you don't want to do any guesses, over time, there may be a chance to actually get scooped off the floor. So that is why I like Mrdrvrs. Now look, it is going to have a supply of 4,444 at a mint price of 0.02 to 0.04. So like I said, low cost barrier to entry and a decent supply. So there could be some sort of a supply shock. Now look, before I move on to the next project, a lot of you aren't subscribed, so if you scroll down there, hit up that subscribe button. Also hit up the like button. If you don't like the content, you can always unsubscribe. If you hate the content, you can always dislike the video, but go down there, do that now. Anyway, let's move on. The next project is called Miuzium. Now, to get into the goods, they are, first off, on Twitter, they've got 41,000 followers, but essentially, it's a curated collection. So it's 1,001 one-of-one NFTs from 100 artists. So essentially, 100 artists are going to do 10 pieces each, and then they're going to put them in a museum, and then they're going to have one giant sort of secret piece as the 1,000th N1. Now, the interesting thing about this, and like, look, their promos are sick. The one cool thing about this is it's not like a regular mint, so you just don't mint something and then there's a reveal. It's like you're going to be in a digital gallery. So what this means is it means that you're going to then be able to scroll on the gallery, have a look at what you want, pick it out, and essentially buy it / mint it. Now, what is very interesting about this is the fact that it's not all kind of priced at the same thing. So you're going to have the more established artists selling for things in the $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 range, and then you're going to have those newer artists, those ones that aren't as established, selling things for sort of $200, $300, $400. So you're going to have a range of things. So this is going to be very interesting. Also, these artists are specifically from Africa and the Middle East, and essentially they're going to be doing collections throughout the world with different artists from that region. So it's a very interesting play, a very interesting way things have come together with this. I think it'll play out very interestingly because of the floor. People may see the floor pump, so the cheaper art may actually move hands a lot more and pump in price, and some of those at the higher end may kind of sort of be pulled down. There's a lot of game theory when it comes down to what you're going to buy, but essentially you should be buying something that you like, and this should essentially make sure that you end up with a very good solid secondary market, because people are going to be buying and selling what they want. You're not going to essentially end up with something bad. You're going to end up with something that you want, which means that you're more likely to hold on to it and not just floor it because it looks terrible, looks trash. So I think this is a very interesting way that this is put forward, that this is put out, and I think this is what the space needs, this innovation. And look, the founder of Miuzium is a gun himself. His name's Faris. He's actually been putting in the work, building some relationships. He's actually in Golden Egg Club with me, which is dope. And he's also a trader himself. He's made some big gains and some big flips. The fact is, he's a DJ and he's in the space. He knows what to do. He knows how to game the system and game the psychology of how we like to trade. So I think it's very interesting and very intriguing when someone like that actually is going to run up and launch a project. Next up, we've got Eden Genesis. Now, this is a gaming project that's going to be VC backed. Now, my boy Crypto Gorilla did a video and kind of touched on it a little bit. So basically, it's super early. There's not much publicly out, but I was dropped some alpha. Essentially, it's going to be like a Final Fantasy Voyager game with a horror twist. Now, when it comes down to the VC backing, our VC backing is huge at the moment. Any project that's got some VC backing usually does a little bit of a rip. This is one of the backers here. They've invested in a whole bunch of stuff. You'll notice a bunch of names, like familiar names and familiar things popping up here that you're like, okay, cool, like these guys know what they're doing. And here is the other part of the VC funding. Now, when it comes to the actual game itself, the team is an absolute gun, and the storyline is co-written by some writers who have worked on franchises such as The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, as well as GTA 5, Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, all that kind of stuff. Now look, to keep it quite simple, they are going to be doing some IDO access, some token allocations, things like that. It's something you should definitely be across because this will be gaining a little bit of heat as they kind of develop more and release more information. Like I said, I was dropped some early alpha, some info, and I want to be careful I don't share stuff that I'm not allowed to share. But anyway, that's a look at Eden Genesis. Hot alpha, definitely get in and follow that now. Now look, I think the next one is going to cook because of the support network, the team, the advisors around it. It's called Metalistings. Now the advisors include Crypto Gorilla, include Champ, include Bento Boy. Now, these are guys that I call friends, and I know how they move within the space. They are very in touch, very in tune with the market, with what's happening. So when they advise on a project, they usually know how to nudge it and push it in a way to actually make it succeed. Anyway, let's break it down. Essentially, it is an aggregator of metaverse land and gaming assets, things like that. So to give you an example, this is Sydney, my hometown. The same way that you would actually kind of use something like this to find out different bits of land, property to buy, things like that. You can imagine this in something like the other side. You can imagine this in something like Sandbox. You can imagine something like this in other games where you can easily navigate, find stuff to buy, know where you're going, things like that. Now, I think this is very interesting. I think it's needed. Plus, you've also got the fact that you've got advisors, like I said, Champ, Bento, and Gorilla. They understand the space. They know exactly what they're doing, and they know how to kind of push this forward, especially when it comes down to this first engagement bit on Twitter to get people aware of it so people can kind of understand what's happening, how it all works, and get the message out there. I think that's crucial. People need to understand the value proposition of a project before even considering it. Now, if you do go to their website, it's basically just a squeeze page with your email address, so there's nothing much there. So yes, we are stupid early with this, under 2,000 followers. It's something that I think you should definitely be across because there will be lots of giveaways, lots of chances to actually get in, and I'm sure at some point I will end up getting some whitelist spots to kind of raffle off, give out, whatever, because this does seem like it's got all of the right marks and the right points to actually kind of kick off and do quite well. So that's a look at some of the projects that I'm looking at right now that I'm interested in, that I'm intrigued in, that I think have great potential. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button. While down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.